Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I have to say it, I'm Jen, and I have been sharing my GLP-1 weight loss journey here on YouTube. I started with Mounjaro, now I'm on compounded tirzepatide. It's been 2.5 years. I've lost over 90 pounds. I've had the ups, the downs, the stalls, the breakthroughs, so much of it over the past 2.5 years. And one thing that I've realized is that, a GLP-1 journey, in my opinion, is not just about weight loss. I think it's about, a transformation. There are very real phases that we go through, and each one has its own challenges, its own lessons, breakthroughs. So today, I'm going to walk you through what I think are the six phases of a GLP-1 weight loss journey. And whether you are just getting started or you have been on the medication for a while, I promise you are going to recognize yourself in one of these six phases. So let's go ahead, let's get into it with phase one, which is the leap phase. And I think this is where everything begins. And honestly, it's like the hardest part of our journey. So many of us, I feel, carry the story in our heads that we're either lazy, we're weak, or we're failures because other diets and workout plans didn't work the way it needed to for us. But I think the truth is that we weren't lazy. In some ways, we were a little scared. We were overwhelmed, or maybe, I think this is a big one, misinformed. Think about how much courage it takes to go to your doctor and say, I need help. This is not a weakness. That is a strength. And I remember my leap phase, sitting in that doctor's office, my heart pounding, feeling embarrassed because I wanted to ask about this medication, but in some ways I didn't. And I had struggled and I failed another weight loss attempt, and I was lost, and I was just like, I need help. I'm at the highest weight I've ever been. I have never felt more worse than I am right now. But that moment, that conversation changed everything when he recommended Mounjaro to me. And that is one of the most powerful days, in my opinion, of your journey. So if you're here still deciding, or maybe you just took your first shot, celebrate it, because you've already done, in my opinion, the bravest thing, and that is just starting. So then you move into phase two, which is what I think is the physical phase. And this is the one I think most people look forward to, and really for good reason. It's because, you might be experiencing some appetite suppression, some food noise reduction. You'll feel full also after a few bites. I feel like that's never happened before. Some of your weight will start dropping a little bit. Some people faster than others. Your clothes might start fitting differently. People may comment. You may even look in the mirror and say, wow, it's happening. I am so excited to continue on this journey. But here's a side nobody talks about. It's the weird stuff that your body's going to go through, because some days you might be a little constipated. You might deal with, fatigue and headaches. I know a few people have said that they've broken out just from like hormonal shifts. And if you are not lifting weights, doing resistance training, you can risk losing muscle along with fat while you're losing weight. And then there's also the stalls that can happen. It hits all of us. The scale will stop moving, and then you panic saying, what do I do? Why is this not working? Am I broken? What is going wrong? No, your body is just now adjusting. And I think this phase is all about learning your body all over again. You may start tracking your protein a little bit. You want to make sure that you're emphasizing, hydration, your movement, just making sure you're moving more. And most importantly, don't freak out when things are not perfect, because weight loss isn't linear. The physical phase, I think, teaches you that it's not just about, shrinking. It's about rebuilding yourself. So then you hit phase three, and this is the mental phase. This one sneaks up on you. You thought, food was just food. But when you're on a GLP-1, you will start to realize in this phase that food was more than that. It was comfort to you. It was stress relief, celebration, maybe boredom cure. And now it's not there in that same way. And that can feel a little jarring. And I'll be real with you. I did go through a little bit of some mood swings as well. There were days where I felt a little bit anxious or lost, like, You know, who am I if I'm not the girl that can have pizza after a night out with friends? Why am I not looking forward to when I'm at the beach having some boardwalk treats at night? Where did that girl go? My brain had to catch up to what my body was doing. And this is, I think, where support is everything. You could get into journaling, maybe you have therapy, community groups, even having a buddy that gets what you're going through. I think because the mental rewiring is just as real as the weight loss. If you're in this phase, don't beat yourself up for having, some days where you're struggling a little bit. You're literally rewiring years, maybe decades of habits and coping mechanisms. And that does not happen overnight as much as we would want it to. But the good news is that once you kind of work through this phase, I think you come out mentally stronger than you ever have been in your life. And then there's phase 4, and that's the emotional phase. Now, let's talk about emotions. You would think losing weight would be all joy, and don't get me wrong, there are incredible highs, but you also may at times feel a little grief. Yeah, I know, grief. I can't believe it. You may grieve your old routines like Friday night fast food with family. You might grieve the comfort foods that it's just like the comfort it gave you with those foods. And some people even grieve their old body, which I know is shocking, even if they desperately wanted to lose weight. And that is very, very confusing. And you think, why am I sad when I should be happy? But this is all normal. Change always comes with a lot of mixed feelings. And this phase, I think, is where you learn to sit with these emotions instead of just like numbing them with food. And that's very powerful on your journey because it means you're finally, processing instead of avoiding. And then you hit phase 5, right? This is a lifestyle phase. This is where things start to click a little bit more. You realize that you're not just on, I hate to say like a diet anymore. You're kind of living a little bit differently. Your choices have shifted. You automatically start maybe checking some food labels. You pack protein snacks before you leave the house. Who is this person? You walk, instead of maybe crashing on the couch. You drink water without forcing it. Like, oh, here we go. I got to finish my water. Got to stay hydrated. And at first, these things will take some effort, but eventually they do become second nature. And that's when I think that you're building something sustainable. And this phase, I think, is an exciting one because you start to build trust with yourself. You see that the medication is a tool, but you're the one building a lifestyle that lasts. And that shift from I'm on a diet to this is just how I live now is life-changing. And then there's the last phase, which is phase 6, which is the identity shift. And finally, I think with the identity shift, this is kind of when you realize you're not just someone who has lost weight. You are in some ways someone new. Your confidence is a little bit different. Your energy could be different. The way you show up for yourself could be different. And people then might start saying like, you've changed. What are you doing? Whatever. And I say, guess what? Yes, they're right. And I know that can feel weird at first. Sometimes I think a little lonely or confusing, but I think it's also empowering because you're not just shrinking into like a smaller version. You're expanding into the person you were always meant to be and you've wanted to become. And I think this phase never really ends because the more you grow, I think the more you just evolve. And that is the beauty of it all. So let me recap what these 6 phases are again on like a GLP weight loss journey. So we had the leap phase. We had the physical phase. We had the mental phase, big one, the emotional phase, and we had the lifestyle phase and the identity shift. So those were the 6 phases. And if you recognize yourself in one of these, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what phase are you currently in right now? And let me know if there's a phase that I could have missed. I was tempted to include the current phase that I'm in, which is like you're hitting close to your goal weight, you've been on it for a while, and you're kind of feeling a little bit lost and the old habits are creeping back in. It's long-winded, but I wanted to leave that out for now because I believe also we can all experience weight loss on or off a GLP-1 really differently, mainly because we come into this journey with like so many different goals. We have lifestyle differences, environmental differences, health challenges, but I know that we are all looking to achieve that same end result, which is to live a healthy and happy life. And I can see, hitting these phases more than once at times. And that's just my opinion. And remember, no matter where you are in your journey, you are not alone. Like, these phases are normal. There's going to be some messy and challenging days, but they're also what makes this transformation, I think, so powerful. So if you found this video helpful, please take a second. I would love if you could hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, share this with someone who's maybe starting their GLP-1 journey, or tell them that they got this. Just, you got to leap into it and just take it phase by phase. I could not be happier with the decision I made over 2.5 years ago, telling my doctor I needed help and explaining all the things that I, over the past 8 weeks, have tried to stick to, and only losing a small amount of weight and feeling stuck and lost. And he was thankfully a doctor that listened and cared and wanted to help me. And I took that leap of faith and I started Mounjaro, and I have zero regrets in doing so, even the ups and downs. So thank you so much for checking out today's video. I will catch you all later. Bye.